We're live. So welcome everyone, and I always start off with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge, appreciate that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq First Nation, and we have occupied this territory since time immemorable. You'll see that we have 5 councillors present. And we have Councillor Duran calling in. Okay, do we have Councillor McCabe? And,
Yes, Your Worship.
and do we have Councillor Mattard?
Yes, I'm here, Your Worship. I had a medical situation today, so I'm home calling in. Thank you.
No need to explain there, Councillor.
Thank you.
Health before politics.
Thank you.
Councillor Kevin Ramsey's here. Councillor Twill, back. Councillor Bernard?
I'm here, Your Worship.
Okay, great. Councillor
I'm here, you're well, Your Worship.
Okay, so I had you marked down as absent, so you are here, Councillor Duran? Great.
Yeah.
So the only one we're missing is Councillor John McAleer, and he's on his way back from vacation. I won't say where he went, but he's on his way back. So before we begin, tonight's public meeting is to hear comments, questions, or concerns on the following applications. And I'm just going to read them off. City of Charlottetown Zoning Development Bylaw. Staff is Sebastian Hall. Sebastian's here. And Sebastian will be the presenter, correct, Sebastian? 139 Kensington Road and unaddressed parcel PID numbers 278234 and 278226. Mr. David Gundrum, who is our Manager of Planning and Development, he will make the presentation. And Sable Arc, I think Robert is here, along with George Dow. Just yourself, Robert, correct? Okay. 10 Freda Lane, PID number 1179670. Again, it's Mr. Gundrum, who was our Manager of Planning and Development. And from the applicant, it is Kane Arsenault APM, correct? Yeah. Okay. Unaddressed parcels, Malpeque Road, PID numbers 134957 and 118348. Again, Mr. Gundrum. 3 big files, Mr. Gundrum. And the presenter is 103418 PID Inc., a numbered. And anyone here for that? David, are you doing the presenting? Is there anyone there for the applicant?
Your Worship, there was a presentation provided by the applicants that will be taken up at that time. So,
Okay. Yep. Okay, it's a packed night. We might not get home till about midnight. 171-181 Kensington Road, PID numbers 385930, 385948, and 555177. Again, Mr. David Gundrum will be the presenter. He's our Manager of Planning Development. And Archwork Studios, Kerry Boswell. Kerry here? You're Kerry Boswell? No. You're here with Archwork Studios? Good to see you. And your name, sir? Tim Phelan. Okay, Tim Phelan. Unaddressed parcels, lot 24, 25, 26, Evelyn Street, PID numbers 1178, 193, 1178201, and 1178219. Again, the presenter will be Mr. David Gundrum. A very busy night for him. And Jessica Murray is also the presenter. Is Jessica here? Okay. Guess you're going to have to handle a few on your own there, Mr. Gundrum. And the last one, finally, 161 and 167 Mount Everett Road, PID numbers 3902, 60, 3902, 37, and 56, 69, 76. David Gundrum will be the presenter. And presenter 2 will be, I see him there in the audience, Carmen MacArthur. Is that correct, Carmen? You're just here to witness the proceedings. Okay. So we are now back in back to in-person meetings, and at this time, residents still have the option to participate via Microsoft Teams, and I believe we have one person. Andrea Battison, are you participating by Teams? Andrea?
Yes, I am. Sorry, had to find the mute button.
That's all right. And just for your information, this meeting is live streamed on YouTube. And if you wish to review it tomorrow, next week, during Easter, the video link is www.charlottetown.ca/video. So you can review the whole proceeding on YouTube. And as I mentioned, I told you the members of council who are here. Bob Kenny, I don't see Bob Kenny. Any members of the planning board? Seeing none. Okay, and now I'm going to turn it over to the Deputy Mayor, Alana Yankoff. She's the Chair of our Standing Committee for Planning, Development, and Heritage.
Thank you, Your
Deputy
Worship,
Mayor.
and good evening, everybody. Just to briefly go over the process a little bit, there'll be a brief presentation by staff, and if the applicant's here, they will also be given the opportunity for a presentation. After that, anyone here has 5 minutes to come up to the mic and ask questions for clarity, ask questions to the planning staff and/or the applicant. And then from there, anyone on Teams then will also have the opportunity. And each person can get up for each application one time for 5 minutes. And we just ask that we're mindful of the time. As you can see, we have quite a few applications this evening. And other than that, if you are not getting up to speak or ask questions, but you later on have some comments that you want to include, you have until tomorrow at noon to send those along to the planning staff. And again, we just ask everyone be respectful of each other, which I'm sure you will be. And from there, I'll turn it back over to His Worship.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So there will be an opportunity to speak to the issue, and then there will be an opportunity for councillors, whether they're phoning in or here in person, to ask questions regarding clarification. This is just a information-seeking public hearing. When the debate goes on, it will take place at the planning board. Then planning board will make a recommendation to council for a decision. So I'm going to start off by calling the meeting to order. I have to, first of all, ask, are there any declarations of conflict of interest?
I'm in conflict, Mayor Brown.
Okay. Councillor Durant, which one?
The Malpeque Road development. My daughter and my son-in-law are involved in that.
Is that company number 103418, Prince Edward Island, Inc.?
I'm not sure, but I think it's number 4, Malpeque Road subdivision. I don't know their company numbers.
David, would it be PID numbers 134957, 1180-348?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay, so when it does come to that agenda item, Councillor Drawn, you will have to step aside.
Sure. Thank
Anyone
you.
else? Okay, so there's only one. Okay, the agenda is pretty simple. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 applications. Need someone to approve the agenda. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, second by Deputy Mayor Yankoff. All in favor? Councillor Drawn? In favor?
In favor?
McCabe?
In favor.
Okay, good.
In favor.
Thank you. Okay, I will call Sebastian Hall, P3, for the first presentation. Sebastian.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, everyone. This is a request to amend sections 3.8.3b, treating with minor variances, sections 3.9.3b, treating with major variances, 3.10.4a, rezonings, 3.15.4, treating with reconsiderations, and Appendix A, the definitions of the City of Charlottetown zoning and development bylaw for housekeeping amendments. The proposed amendments relate to expanding public circulation options for specific development applications requiring mailed notices. Notice of the proposed amendments were advertised in the Guardian newspaper on Saturday, March 15th, 2025, and on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025. A notice was also posted on the city's website. As at noon Tuesday, March 25th, there were no comments received. Any letters after this time and until 4 p.m. on March 27th will be available before the public meeting. Letters received after 4 p.m. on March 27th and until 12 p.m. on Friday, March 28th, 2025, will be included in the recommendation report to Planning Board at a later date. Now, Section 3.8.3b, dealing with minor variances, currently reads, before a minor variance may be approved, the development officer shall b. provide written notice by ordinary mail explaining the purpose of the proposed minor variance to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot. And this will be amended to read, before a minor variance may be approved, the development officer shall b. provide written notice by ordinary mail or deliver by hand, drop-off delivery, explaining the purpose of the proposed minor variance to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot. Section 3.9.3b, treating with major variances, currently reads, before a major variance may be approved, the development officer shall b. provide written notice by ordinary mail explaining the purpose of the proposed major variance to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot. And this will be amended to read, before a major variance may be approved, the development officer shall provide written notice by ordinary mail or deliver by hand or drop-off delivery explaining the purpose of the proposed major variance to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot. Section 3.10.4a, treating with amendments to the bylaw on rezonings, currently reads, before a rezoning is heard at a public meeting, the development officer shall provide written notice by ordinary mail, advise affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot through written notification in writing at least 7 calendar days prior to public meeting of the date of the public meeting, and now this will be amended to read, before a rezoning is heard at a public meeting, the development officer shall a. provide written notice by ordinary mail or deliver by hand or drop-off delivery advising all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot through notification in writing at least 7 calendar days prior to the public meeting of the date of the public meeting. Section 3.15.4, treating with reconsideration, reads, a letter shall be sent by ordinary mail explaining the reconsideration request to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot, identifying the subject lot. And this will be amended to read, a letter shall be sent by ordinary mail or delivered by hand, drop-off delivery, explaining the reconsideration request to all affected property owners within 100 meters of the boundaries of the subject lot, identifying the subject lot. The new addition of definition to Appendix A. 1. Ordinary mail means economy mail or regular mail sent through the public postal service and is handled by affixing postage stamps depending on weight or destination and dropping it into a letter posting box. Delivered by hand for this purpose means a letter or a package that is delivered by the sender or their representative in such a way that the recipient receives it into their hands or delivered into a mailbox. Drop-off delivery means a method of delivery that involves the sender or their representative taking a package to a specified location. Thank you, Your Worship. Are there any questions?
No. Sebastian, you did a great job in explaining it and clearly spoken to.
Thank you.
The reason for this, Sebastian, can you give the reason for the change?
This arises from the Canada Porters strike that occurred last year between November and December, I believe, in which the city could not get letters out to the public to convene public meetings such as this. So in an attempt to prevent any further recurrence, we are implementing other options to ensure that mail can go out in the event there's another strike.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your Worship, it's Councillor Matard here. I have a question.
Go right ahead, Councillor Matart.
Yes, I think I would like to address this question to the Chair of Planning. I believe in one of our last discussions around this, I did ask for consideration to be giving to the 100-meter radius of the notifications that get sent out, to have that discussed and reviewed to be increased to 200 to 300 meters. In some circumstances where the said property, maybe situated in a particular area, doesn't always capture a larger radius of residents to be notified. Is that something that should be brought back to the planning committee, or is that something, how would we do that? Because I would have liked to have seen something like that in here tonight, but obviously it's not. Thank you. To the Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Matart, and through our chair, His Worship. So this housekeeping amendment is here because of the postal strike and the urgency to get this changed in case that happens again. Your request for the 100 meters is definitely on the list to look at during the amendments and changes to our zoning and development bylaw, which should be completed for public consultation and council by end of summer. So that has been duly noted and is most definitely a priority for our changes to zoning and development bylaw. So thank you for bringing it up again this evening.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And I see Andrea has her hand up, so I'll let Andrea have a question.
Thank you there, Councillor Matart. Andrea?
Okay, can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, great. So this is my question. So Andrea Battis in Charlottetown. Thanks for the opportunity to comment. I'm curious about the hand delivery for a few reasons, because first of all, it's not uncommon for property owners not to live in the province. They're either out of the province or out of the country. So I'm not sure how hand delivery would work in that sense, if it's a courier. And then I've got three more points. Is as the goal seems to be to increase notification process and improve it. I'm just wondering if consideration has also been given to increasing the time before sending out the notices. I live in town, and I've either not gotten my notice or just a day before or on the day of a meeting, and so notification wasn't in enough time. And I think a lot of this might have to do with the fact that postal service mail is now sorted off island, and when these bylaws were evolved or brought together, I suspect that's when we had overnight delivery on the island. So the question would be, is there any consideration to increase the time between sending out these notices and either the comment date or the meeting date? Because that would help ensure that local property owners, and no doubt those farther away, out of province or out of country, actually get the notification, whether it's by mail or this new method. I'm curious, a lot of places don't have mailboxes anymore, so where are you going to hand deliver a letter to, and where are you going to leave it, and how are you going to know that it was delivered? Packages get left on doorways and an envelope could blow away. The other thing is, again, in the interest of optimizing getting feedback, the time between when the notice is sent out, when the comment due date or a public meeting due date is included in the letter. Sometimes, as in tonight, it's noted that comments are due by tomorrow at noon. And as the purpose seems to be to optimize notification and feedback, maybe there could be some extension of the time when these comments can be submitted. I guess those are the main comments or questions. So how do you hand deliver something if there's no mailbox? Are you planning to use courier services? Will that be international couriers for property owners that live out of the country? And I know there are some. And what about the mailboxes? And just a general comment, if we could, related to meetings with such a large agenda, if council would consider larger rooms. I don't know who's in the foyer, but there might be a lot of people.
No.
Anyway, there isn't. Okay.
No, the chamber's full, and this is an historic building, so I think people appreciate coming up here, and I'm going to turn it over to the deputy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. A lot of good points in your questions and concerns that were highlighted. I'll address the political question, and then I'll turn the operational items back over to staff. And the political one was around council looking at the extending the time for residents and applicants to be able to provide feedback when these types of items come to play. And I would say that this should be added as another item on our changes to our zoning and development bylaw as we proceed with that over the coming months. And as for the operational questions on how you plan to get these letters hand-delivered, I will turn that over to city staff to address the operational aspects of those.
Deputy, just on the international issue, if someone lives off island, the mail delivery now goes to the address that is of the owner. So if it's an off-island owner, do we search out that off-island owner, or do we just deliver to the home or residence that he or she owns? Could you just start with that, please, Donna?
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, it would go to the registered address that we have on our system. And to Andrea's question, in terms of delivering mail by hand, that's something that will be worked out operationally as we go along. And as Andrea would have noticed, there are a number of options listed there. And the ones that we are adding as housekeeping amendments tonight is just in case there's a disruption with Canada Post. So we do have a number of options that we can use just in case we need to send out notices.
Okay. Question? Okay. No questions from the gallery? Okay. Move on? Okay. Want to go to the next item, Deputy? Okay, next item is with Mr. Gundrum, 139 Kensington Road. PID numbers 278234 and 278226. Mr. Gundrum.
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council, members of the public in attendance, good evening. So the first application for development tonight concerns property located at the corner of Kensington Road and Falconwood Drive, PID numbers 278226, 278234. This is a rezoning request for the subject properties to change from the current zoning of R1S to R3 to allow for a proposed 5-story 41-unit apartment building on the subject properties. Oh, there we go. Okay. Again, this is a proposal for a 5-story 41-unit apartment building for the site, whereas the subject properties have historically been used for a single detached dwelling as well as a vacant lot. The image on the screen before you provides a conceptual rendering of what the building is proposed to look like in terms of its design, its scale, and massing. Next slide shows a site plan for the proposed development. The building is proposed to be oriented lengthwise north to south, having primary road access from Falconwood Drive and shared access with the existing apartment building located to the west at 7 Falconwood Drive. Next slide shows a zoning map of the subject property and surrounding area. The site consists, as mentioned before, of 2 existing lots, being a vacant corner residential lot at the southwest corner of Kensington and Falconwood, as well as an interior lot which contains an existing single detached dwelling. Again, the subject properties are located within the single detached residential R1S zone and are adjacent to established residential uses. The site is surrounded predominantly by low-density residential uses and directly abuts an existing apartment building in the R3 zone located to the west, which would be the parcel shown here, 278218. The city official plan supports mixed forms of housing within existing neighborhoods to allow for housing choices. A variety of housing choices within neighborhoods are important as they provide options for the needs of different people at various stages of their lives, quoting from the city official plan. Applicable sections include sections 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 of the OP that pertain to this application. The subject property has been identified to have opportunity for higher density than what is currently allowed under the existing zoning by the developers. Due to the location of the subject property within an existing neighborhood, it is important that the planning process in this case thoughtfully consider the context of the surrounding uses and seek feedback from those with potential concerns. In terms of our legislative requirements, March 11th, 2025, City Council approved the request to proceed to public consultation this evening. As per section 3.10.4 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, a notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters, 328 feet of the subject properties on March 17th, 2025, which met the minimum 7 calendar day requirement for notification prior to the public hearing date this evening. A total of 33 letters were sent to residents advising them of the public meeting this evening to solicit their comments and feedback, and to date, no written responses have been received by the department. And just to conclude from here, the next steps would be to provide a recommendation to Planning Board tentatively on May the 6th, and then that would follow with consideration by Council to vote on the application on May 13th. And again, those are tentative dates pending feedback gained tonight, as well as any other comments received after this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haggis, do you have any comments, or are you just waiting for questions? If you do, please just use the mic so we can get you on the public record. State your name. State your name and your company.
Robert Haggis. I am the principal architect at Sable Arc, and we were involved with the design for this project. Yeah, maybe the site plan and some of the renderings, perhaps. So, as the mayor pointed out, the Dows do own this property. The two parcels, including the Falcon Heights apartment building just behind to the west, they've always saw it as an opportunity for a multi-unit building and providing a diverse residential project for the neighborhood. Joe Dow actually pointed out to me that at one point there was opposition to the apartment building they presently own with the Falcon Heights. And ironically, a number of people that opposed that property living in the neighborhood had sold their home and moved into that apartment. They're hoping for the very same with this. It'll be senior-friendly oriented. I understand that the height requests of 5 stories may seem like a bit much, but it provides the opportunity for the 41 units and housing for 41 families as opposed to 2. In addition to that, I mean, it's a prominent corner lot, and at least 30 of those units would have elevated views of the golf course just across the way and the water in the distance. And as some people may know, the Falcon Heights building is very well maintained and taken care of, and they expect to do the very same with this one.
Thank you, Mr. Haggis. So if anyone wishes to have questions, we have both Mr. Gundrum here from our planning department and Mr. Haggis. And the mic is there, just provide your name. Can they, Dylan, can they use the mic?
Can use the mic, yeah.
Okay.
We lost our mouse all of a sudden. We're just.
Anyone wish to make comments? Just state your name and Charlottetown, Stratford, wherever you live.
Peter Hagen, Charlottetown.
Okay?
So I live at 22 Donwood Drive. It's PID 278580. So it would be one property south, one property west of this proposed development. And I've been there for 16 years now. Quickly, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here. It's not lost to me that I'm lucky to live in a place that has meetings like this. So thank you all. I wish to express my concerns with the proposal. I understand we are presently in a housing crisis and development is in desperate need to ease the pressure on the rental market. With that said, I think demolishing a perfectly good rental property that's there with tenants occupying it to build a 5-story, 41-unit building is a far cry from a noble gesture. I understand that residents of Charlottetown need to adjust what they're comfortable with in terms of development. However, I feel like I've personally already done this with the development of the apartment building on PID 278218, the Falconwood Heights. When I purchased my home, that apartment building didn't exist, and there was a green space there with a home. So it's generally this exact same thing being done over again. At that time, I built a 6-foot-high fence around my backyard, but the construction of that apartment building rendered this privacy fence useless because that apartment building, many windows look over my backyard. A 41-unit, 5-story building overlooking my backyard would completely rob any sense of privacy whatsoever. And as I said, I feel like I've already made that sacrifice with the construction of the previous apartment building. This proposed building would have a negative impact on my property value and a negative impact on my ability to enjoy my property. Not only would I lose privacy, I believe that there's an actual possibility that the sun, when it rises in the summer, it just moves a little bit to the north, and a 5-story building could literally cast a shadow over my property. I'm no expert on the matter, but I was looking at it, and I think if that sun goes any further north, then that building would cast a shadow right over my property. So that's all. Thank you.
Sir, what property number were you? 278580, did you say?
I'm sorry.
You're on-
278580, yeah.
Okay.
22 Donwood Drive.
Yeah, you're on Donwood.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments? Questions? Thank you, sir, for your feedback.
Mayor Brown, I would have a question whenever you open it up to the council.
Good. Councillor Matard, go ahead. Green light.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Maybe the question is to Robert. I think, was it Robert from Sable Arc? Sorry.
Robert the Haggis.
Yes. Robert, as you're familiar with the area, there certainly is a number of apartments on Falconwood Drive as we speak. So, just addressing concerns around traffic density. So, potentially adding 41 more units could potentially bring at a minimum 40 cars. And if some have two, could be anywhere from 40 to 50 to 60 cars into that general area. So has any traffic studies been done on for Kensington Road and Falconwood and then essentially leading on to Donwood, because Donwood is becoming now a cut through to address some of the bottleneck that's happening on Falconwood coming down to Kensington Road. So it's driving traffic that direction. So can you address any traffic studies that have been done on this particular site?
No traffic study has been done on the site to date. That can certainly be done. I have been part of a number of traffic studies in the past for similar developments. 9 times out of 10, those traffic studies come back suggesting that there isn't really a major issue. But that's certainly something that we can look into if you think that's necessary.
I think it is based on the feedback that I received from residents in the area due to this application. I think it's important, and I think not only from the perspective of from where you are, but I think from the city planning department, I would echo the same request on infrastructure in that area and increased traffic, getting in and out of Kensington Road, and then by virtue of that bottlenecking, it might drive traffic into our secondary streets like Donwood.
Robert, did you take note of that? Just for the public record? Just for the public record, yeah.
Sorry.
So is that something, sorry.
Did you get his answer there, Councillor Matard?
Well, I guess I got the answer that it can be done. Maybe I'll ask the chair. I'm requesting it be done. So I don't know if that means that it will be done. I know he said that it could be done. I want to understand better what the impacts might be as part of that potential building.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Matard. I'm going to defer that to planning staff just to see whether or not, how far we can go in terms of this application.
Mr. Gundrum?
Yep.
You are the staff member on this project?
Yep. Through your worship, through the chair, to both Councillor Matart and Deputy Mayor Yankoff. There's 2 ways you can do this. We could request a private traffic impact study, or TIS, be done by the developer, or we're still waiting for feedback from Public Works staff at this point in time. Public Works would have traffic counts for the city streets. They do this on an annual basis. We're waiting to hear back from them anyways on some of their thoughts and feedback still. We could get their opinion as well on whether a TIS is actually needed or not, and get some additional direction from them on that. So does that help answer the question?
Yes.
It does. Thank you. Thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing that in the future reports or beforehand. So thank you.
Any more questions? Just come right up to the mic, sir. Give your name, where you're from, Charlottetown, Stratford, Cornwall.
My name is Vernon Anderson. I live on Donwood Drive. I've lived there for 42 years, and I was involved when George built the apartment house there now. He was very accommodating to the residents at that time because he brought us into a meeting, explained everything. I don't know if it's the same company. There was some changes made because we didn't want. Traffic was an issue there. Now, right now, with this apartment house on Falconwood, this will be 8 apartment houses on Falconwood. 2 to 3 duplexes, and a big discount store that has 2 to 3 tractor trailers backing across Falconwood every day. And for us to get out of Donwood and Laurie Drive, we're boxed in now, because what's happening is people are coming off Walker Drive on the bypass, using Falconwood and Woodworth as a throughway, because they can catch the light on St. Peter's Road or catch the roundabout up at the corner there. So the problem is, for any young family with young kids, it's getting to be a challenge to be around that. It's also being a challenge for seniors to get out of our streets. I'm not against building an apartment house, but I do believe the city will be ending up with a problem on those streets if traffic continues to keep going the way they are. And I think there's something has to be addressed. Traffic has to be addressed before any further than this needs to be addressed for the next step to take place. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson, thank you very much. Comments, questions? Members of council? Councilor Mattard, any follow-up? Are you good to go?
No, I don't have a follow-up question. I mean, certainly just want to emphasize again the importance of the understanding the traffic, and I appreciate Mr. Anderson's comments around that as well, and in that surrounding area with Laurie and Donwood, and it is becoming very challenging. So I'm very much worried about the large number of requests, and we do have another request here this evening that will be also putting more density of traffic into that area in relative proximity. So I would like to see some more information on that traffic.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. Deputy, good. 10 Freda Lane, PID number 1179-670, and Mr. Kane Erstow is here too, so he can add any comments. Mr. Gundrum, do you want to start? Please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'll just wait for the slideshow there. Okay. The following application concerns 10 Freda Lane, PID number 1179670. This is a request for rezoning of the subject property to rezone from the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone to the R3 zone to allow for a proposed 3-story, 30-unit apartment building on the subject property. The following slide shows a rendering of what the proposed 3-story, 30 apartment building would look like. The site is noted as being a property that has otherwise been vacant for a number of years. Next slide shows the proposed site plan of the apartment building. The building would propose to be oriented lengthwise north to south, with the primary road access from Freda Lane shown here. And the building would be oriented such that the parking area is shielded from Mount Edward Road on this side of the flankage yard. Next slide shows a zoning map of the subject property and surrounding area. The site again consists of an existing vacant corner residential lot at the northwest corner of Mount Edward Road and Towers Road. Subject property is again located within the CDA zone adjacent to established residential uses and is surrounded predominantly by low-density residential uses to the east, principally single detached dwellings, as well as medium-density residential uses to the west and south, primarily in the form of existing row houses. The City of Charlottetown official plan supports mixed forms of housing within existing neighborhoods to allow for housing choice. Quoting from the OP, a variety of housing choices within neighborhoods are important as they provide options for the needs of different people at various stages of their lives. Applicable sections to this application include sections 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3 of the official plan. The subject property has been identified by the developers as having opportunity for higher density residential use. Due to the location of the subject property within an existing neighborhood, it is important for the planning process in this case to thoughtfully consider the context of the surrounding uses and seek feedback from those with potential concerns. Planning staff are of the opinion that the applicants provided sufficient information and details such that the rezoning request should proceed to the public meeting, public consultation tonight to gauge the thoughts, opinions, and feedback of both council and local residents. Just a summary of the legislative requirements that brought us to this evening. On March 11th, 2025, City Council approved request to proceed to public consultation. As per Section 3.10.4 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters or 328 feet of the subject property on March 17th, 2025, to meet the minimum 7-day calendar day requirement for notification of a public hearing date of March 27th, 2025. In total, 25 letters were sent to residents advising them of the public meeting this evening to solicit their comments and feedback, and to date, no written responses have been received concerning the application. Tentative next steps in the process would be a recommendation to Planning Board on May the 6th, followed by consideration and vote by council on May 13th. And again, those dates are tentative following this evening's proceedings. So that is a summary of the application, and I'll turn it back to the chair, council, and public for further discussion. Thank you.
Mr. Kane, do you want to add any information, Mr. Kane? Or else no?
I do have a short presentation.
Okay.
I'll make it quick just in case.
You can just use the mic there. You can have
it clarifies.
and you can sit down there and we'll get you a drink of water.
So my name's Kane Arsenault. I'm with APM. As David explained, we're here tonight to rezone the top portion of Mount Edward Road and revise our development known as Sherwood Crossing. This is just a quick overview of the overall site that had originally been proposed for this development. As you can see, there was originally a medical clinic approved that would have been accessed from Mount Edward Road, and tonight we're here to switch it to this, which, as you can see, the biggest change really that lies here is that we're eliminating a commercial access from Mount Edward Road that would have more intense traffic coming off Mount Edward Road, and we're moving it around to Freda Lane. And it would no longer be a commercial development, it'd be a more appropriate residential development for the area. David's gone through the site plan. This is just a larger copy, and these are just a few more renderings of the project. So this would be a 30-unit, just 3 stories, no underground parking, and the intent would be to try to keep the rents a little bit lower compared to some of the other newer developments that are going on in the area.
Okay. And thanks to the council for the area, we have an active transportation pathway down there in Towers Road.
Yeah.
Pedestrian traffic, bicycles, skateboards. Mic's open. If you can just stay there, Kane, in case our mic is open. If you have any questions, please.
David Henderson, Charlottetown. Just a quick question. With the redevelopment of that property, I just have a question about traffic pattern again, the TIS, for Mount Edward Road specifically, as it leads to Towers Road. If you move the property around so that the parking lot is at the back and the building is now at the front, closer to Mount Edward Road, does that not take away any possibility of expanding Mount Edward Road in the future? Thank you.
Good question. Who handles that? David? Mr. Arsenault? Or, hold on. Deputy? What? Deferred? What? That's the planners, the professional plan. Hold on, just 1 second.
That's either a question for the applicant or the professional planners.
Who wishes to handle it?
Through the chair to Mr. Henderson, I would say that based on the site plan that APM has proposed, that it wouldn't sacrifice any ability to perhaps do any road widening in that area, that there still be some potential opportunity for that. Again, we're on this application, just like the rest of the applications this evening, we're still pending comments from internal departments, including Public Works, but we can certainly dial that in a bit more and forward that question on to PW to get some more clarification about the realities around what impact this might have on Mount Edward Road.
Kane, any?
Not other than, as I explained, this proposal mitigates any traffic concern on Mount Edward Road compared to the original application. As everyone knows, commercial traffic's a lot more intense through the day, constant from 8 till possibly 8 o'clock. With a residential apartment, you'd see less traffic built up.
Good question there, Mr. Henderson. Yeah, we do have an easement, do we not, David? There would be an easement for any expansion to the roadway or pedestrian pathways?
Your worship, I'm not aware that there's any easement in that area. It would just be the boundaries of our public right-of-way. Again, I could seek further clarification through Public Works whether there are any additional easements over and above the standard public road allowance that we would own, so, yeah.
Okay, so the mic's still open. I know Councillor Twill wants to, I just wanted to open it to the public there first, Councillor Twill. Councillor Twill.
I don't think the development would preclude any, as our manager said, any road widening. I've been promoting the fact that the west side of Mount Edward Road should have an active transportation pathway coming off the bypass all the ways down Mount Edward Road, right down to Belvedere Avenue. It's extremely dangerous for the people that are living on that side of Mount Edward Road. And maybe with this development, it'll be the catalyst to helping with the development of that much-needed infrastructure. So I don't see that precluding the development, precluding any infrastructure enhancements or improvements. I'm hoping that this will help expedite because it is very challenging for the people that live on that side of the road. Now it's to the point that it's actually dangerous. Mount Edward Road is a tremendous amount of traffic, not only residential, industrial. A lot of traffic is coming from the industrial park in Sherwood. So it's a major entranceway into the city, and that's something that I've been promoting for the last few years. We've got to make that investment on Mount Edward Road, and I'll reiterate, I think this development only helps expedite that call for infrastructure renewal.
Thank you, sir.
Bring it right down to Towers Road.
Bring it down to where?
Towers Road.
That's, that could be
Both
the
sides.
extension. Get
Both sides.
Get customers going down to Royalty Crossing. Go ahead, Councillor Twill.
Kane, I'm all for it. All
Okay.
for it. You know, we had to go a couple of rounds to get the one on the south side of Towers Road, and it's been very welcomed by the community. It's well utilized. It's safe. It's secure, particularly for our senior citizens and people with, people with disabilities. They feel very, very safe. That's a nice wide. I think it's 10 feet, I believe, and I'm all for 10 feet on the north side of Towers Road.
Thank you, sir. No, I call it Tweel Pathway.
Right.
Tweel
Well,
Pathway.
you know what? You're starting to catch on.
Any other comments? Mic's open. Kane, I think that's good. So next application is Councillor Duran. You are in conflict in this one?
Yes, I am.
Okay, just tap out and then you can
Okay,
dial back.
perfect.
And Jason will put you on.
Thank you.
On address parcels, Malpeque Road, PID numbers 1349557, 1180, 348, and I have Mr. Gundrum.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. I'll just, yeah.
Dan, are you out here to? Okay, so if you wish to, the developer is here, Dan Whalen from Landmark. Is it Landmark Construction, Dan?
No, it's under different.
Okay, it's PID number 103418 PID, PEI Inc., correct? One of those numbered companies. Okay, Mr. Gundrum?
Okay. Thank you, Your Worship. Again, the following application concerns unaddressed parcels identified as PID numbers 134957, 1180348. Parcels are both located on the east side of Malpeque Road. This request is to rezone the subject properties from the current R2S zone to the Comprehensive Development Area CDA zone to allow for a new plan of subdivision developed across 3 phases that would have approximately 800 dwelling units, including commercial development and new public park space. The following image on the screen represents a phased concept plan that shows proposed lotting and road network design for the proposed development. Again, the rezoning request is intended to facilitate development of a 3-phase plan of subdivision having approximately 800 dwelling units, whereas the property has been the site of vacant lands within the urban boundary that have been principally used for agricultural purposes for many years. The future plan of subdivision, as noted, would also contain commercial development, as well as 3 new public park spaces, which are identified in green on the image above, and would have 2 points of access onto the east side of Malpeque Road, as shown. The site consists of 2 existing lots, as noted, being vacant interior residential lots on the east side of Malpeque Road that contain no buildings or structures. Again, the subject properties are located within the low-density single residential R2S zone adjacent to established residential uses. Site is bounded primarily to the north and south by vacant undeveloped residentially zoned lands, to the west by Malpeque Road, beyond which is located further west the Hidden Valley subdivision that is under current active development. The official plan supports mixed forms of housing within existing neighborhoods to allow for housing choices. The OP also quotes that a variety of housing choices within neighborhoods are important to provide options for the needs of different people at various stages of their lives. Applicable sections that would apply to this application from the OP include section 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3. The subject property has been identified, has opportunity for full development as a complete plan of subdivision with direct access to full municipal services, i.e. existing roads, water and sewer connections that are contained along Malpeque Road. Although the subject properties constitute undeveloped greenfield space within the urban boundary, due to the location of the site and proximity to existing and ongoing residential development, it is important for the planning process to thoughtfully consider the context of the surrounding uses and seek feedback from those with potential concerns. In terms of legislative requirements, on March the 11th, 2025, City Council approved request to proceed to public consultation. As per section 3.10.4 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters, 328 feet of the subject properties on March 17th, 2025, to meet the minimum 7-day calendar requirement prior to the public hearing date tonight of March 27th, 2025. In total, 35 letters were sent to residents advising them of the public meeting to solicit comments and feedback, and to date, no written responses have been received. Following tonight's meeting and pending the outcome of feedback received, the tentative next steps in the process would be to proceed with a recommendation to Planning Board on May the 6th, followed by consideration by Council on May the 13th. So that is a summary of the request and the proposed development. I'll turn it back over to Your Worship and to continue with any discussion on the application. Thank you.
Mr. Wayland, wish to add any information? Just turn on the mic. There you are.
Yeah, we did have a slideshow, but I can just kind of.
Slideshow there, Jason. What's that?
So yeah, the the total acreage is about 92 acres and it's currently zoned R2S. So we're just looking to rezone to be able to have a little bit better mix of different options for people to have. There's currently going to be 14 acres of green space within the development, which represents about 15% of the total acreage. We've been granted 2 access points by the Department of Transportation, one being a controlled entrance, and then the second one would be a right-in, right-out. This is just an overview of the layout of the subdivision. The pink would be the first phase, the blue would be the second phase, the yellow, the third phase. And we also allowed for 4 future access points. So if neighboring properties were developed, that the subdivision could be connected to it to allow development of the neighboring properties. This just kind of gives a breakdown of how many of each type of housing will be in each phase. So you can see it'll be a good mix of both single families, duplexes, and some townhouses. And also with some commercial. Through this process last year when we were rezoning across the street, that was one thing that was brought up, was the access to amenities. So through consultation with David and the planning department, we identified some areas at the front of the subdivision where amenities could be provided for the residents of the area. And we'd be hoping to start construction this year with the lots available for sale in the fall. And then this also notes the phase 2 breakdown. As you can see, it's still a similar breakdown between single families, duplexes, and some townhouses. And then the third phase will be similar breakdown as well, with a good mix between all the types of housing. And this just kind of gives a breakdown of the total number of units and where they would be. So the idea would be to do the development over 3 to 4 years, depending on uptake of the subdivision. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir. Just come up, please, give your name and...
Once again, David Henderson, Charlottetown. Just a few questions for the developer now that you're here. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Appreciate having you in attendance. Similar to the development on Hidden Valley on the other side, I have some questions regarding the traffic pattern, especially the TIS for the highway of Malpeque Road. We already have traffic lights being put in a couple of spots that are supposedly going to be, at least one of them, a traffic circle in the not too distant future after the apartment buildings of Hidden Valley Phase 3, I believe it was, are under construction, which to date the roadway is in, but the construction is not started. Along with that, I don't see any activity in your wonderful color proposal there that addresses any of the municipal concerns for police, fire, any possible education such as junior high school, the later development. As for your park space that you recommended there, 15 acres I believe you had set aside, none of that was significant enough for organized sport. And I do see that the majority of that space allocated is either currently wooded space or is in phase 4 of your development. So I have some concerns and questions with that. In the C1E development area, specifically the Hidden Valley subdivision, in the last year or two, there's been 158 properties developed there between duplexes and townhouses, 13 properties assigned, I believe, for your apartment buildings in the Hidden Valley subdivision, and that doesn't begin to discuss any of the activity at the other end of Melody Lane attached to Malpeque Road and the access coming out from that, which currently has a traffic light, and two foundations have been put in for high-density housing on that location. And that doesn't begin to talk about the developments in Paddington Heights and Applecross Avenue off Royalty Road. So I see a lot of residential development in the area. I don't see a lot of planning for the majority municipal needs, such as police, fire, education, and organized sport. Thank you.
Could I just ask, David, do you want to deal with that first, or how do we want to do this?
I can do it.
Good. Defer to Dan?
Yeah, I'll defer to the applicant for now and can follow up as needed, yeah.
Thank you.
So first with, is that mic on? First with the traffic, as part of getting the access granted from the Department of Transportation, they do traffic studies yearly on Malpeque Road, and then that's where they deemed one access would be a controlled intersection, and then one could be a right-in, right-out. The second one regarding fire and police. I believe the city owns land up beside Cat for a fire department as it is right now, so that's within close proximity to these areas. As for the green space, the larger green space was picked at the back of the property because the Confederation Trail is right along there, so that would give a buffer between the trail and the subdivision, and also allow the park to be connected to the trail and give people easier access to it from the subdivision. And I don't know if I missed something, but the schools, West Royalty School,
That's a capacity, sir.
well, hopefully,
There's no junior high on the north side, northwest side of Belvedere Avenue.
that would be a province issue, not mine.
And just to clarify, David, if I'm wrong, the provincial government transportation infrastructure is responsible for Malpeque Road from your arterial highway northbound, correct?
Your worship, that is correct, and the entirety of the frontage and connections for this development, it's all under jurisdiction of DTI in terms of allowing road access and access permits and all that. The city has no jurisdiction along that corridor.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Again, please, if you want to, David, follow up in an email to our department to make sure that this is documented, as it will be, correct, Jason? Part of this presentation night. Okay, I have,
I had a question.
yep, Andrea.
Andrea Battison.
Go ahead.
Right. Okay, so Andrea Battison, Charlottetown. My comments mostly relate to the natural area, the water course. There's a creek that runs through that lot. It looks like it's recognized as a natural area in the new upcoming draft official plan, and there's a lot of great statements there about conserving, protecting our natural habitat. And from what I could make out from that plan, that it is showing a road crossing over a water course. So that's going to cause an awful lot of disruption during construction, I suspect. So one of my questions is, for this project, has any sort of environmental impact assessment or site assessment been done or planned? And another question is, where would the environmental buffer zone be for this project? It's got to be within 15 meters of a water course, and I think that's the road. That's one of the access roads. And I guess I was pleased to hear that there's some sort of amenities being planned, but again, I'm hoping that will include access to transportation, and I would echo the comments of the earlier speaker that by increasing rather significantly the density and the population in this area by changing the zoning, how does the city address the impacts of the need for extra schools when you're bringing a bunch of people in there? So those are my main questions: is how are we protecting the watershed area and the water course?
Questions?
Thank you.
Mr. Whalen.
So as part of this process, we had Don Maynard from Granville Consulting do a wetland delineation. So he did a full assessment of the whole property over the course of last summer. And then from his report, we worked in consultation with the Department of Environment and David Dowling to establish wetlands that we would stay away from and to protect. And that was one of the main reasons we have a large green space at the front, is to help protect that. So we've worked through that process with environment, and they've given their approval.
Okay, I guess there is a road going right through the water course, and that's in the buffer zone according to the current zoning bylaw. I think it's section 48.9.
There would be a portion of the right-of-way that would be in the buffer zone, but the environment was okay with it because we wouldn't be directly impacting the wetland, and we'd also set aside some area to ensure wetland was protected that wasn't deemed as wetland in the report.
David, Dan, do you have written reports? You would have written reports on this, right?
Oh, yeah.
This documentation will be filed with planning through
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Gundry?
Yeah, we can send it to David, no problem.
Okay, yeah, would appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
As for the education matter, I know David Henderson brought that up too. The issue there is that's a provincial matter, and I know you have a great MLA out there who is also a minister, Zach Bell. So definitely a great guy to go through on, to touch base with him on that. Okay, I have a couple of questions from councillors. I'm going to move to them. Councillor Beck and then Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Dan, can you go back to that slide that you had, kind of the overlay, the outlay, kind of outlined everything?
That one? Norm?
Yeah, just so I can see it here.
Which one you looking for?
It's right around the start. Slide, yeah, that one, yeah. There you go.
Okay.
So the water course that Andrea's referring to, that's down on the bottom right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And the major green space is up near the, what's that, the far eastern side of the property bordering on the Confederation Trail?
Correct.
Okay. In your previous points, you were talking about some, because I did have a question earlier, I don't have a question anymore about the entry and egress on the roads. But you were talking something about other entrance points or access points. Where are those located that you're referring to, and what would they be potentially attaching to, I guess, or where, can you highlight those for me? I mean, I can get a sense of it just from that picture, it'd be fine.
How do I highlight it?
Can you point at it, Dan, or?
Which one? The middle one changes it though.
Robert knows how to work it. He's used it a couple of times.
Maybe go by the color of the zones, Dan.
There it is, there it is. There's the flashlight. There it is. Look at that.
So.
Now, where do you want to go?
Right there, that would be one. And then there'd be a second one there, a third one here, and a fourth one there. So those would just allow for future connections between the properties to the north and to the south if those were developed. So then those wouldn't be landlocked, and then they would become one larger subdivision.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentation, Dan.
Go to another slide.
Oh, that one actually is perfect. One question that came up tonight when you were saying about the types that are going in there, where would your high density be located?
Mostly up in the back, right in this area here, those larger lots. So with talking with David and with Chad McCollum, the engineer for the project, having those set at the back would eliminate people having to travel through them to get to their homes, where their homes would be at the front. So that was the thought process in there.
Okay, no, thank you. And I know when we were doing last year's proposal, you've been talking with active transportation or highways. Has there been any conversations about a pathway for the residents to access Melody Lane or like a sidewalk or active transportation with the province? Has that been discussed?
Yeah, so as part of the rezoning last year for, on the other side for Hidden Valley, we had set aside additional frontage along the property so they would have room to build that active transportation once this corridor was reconstructed. So that's still their plan.
Okay, no. And the only other point that was raised by a resident was the wet area in behind what's currently the Christmas tree farm. I assume the assessment addressed that? with
Yes, it
Mr.
did.
Can you
Dowling?
point that out, Dan?
Yeah.
So people know where it is?
So it's right in this area here.
Okay.
Around the year 2000, they had started developing this property, and they had stripped the roads to start the development, but never went any further, and had just left the berms there. So that directed the flow from the north to spill into that area, and it was a flat area, so the water held there. So it created a wet area, and that's why we left that as a green space right there, because that was the major area of wetland. So that's why that was set aside, and there's no lots there.
Okay. All right. No, thanks for your presentation, Dan.
So Dan, are those green spaces right there on the west side? Yeah, right there?
That's a green space. That's correct. Forest green space.
That's not a residential park space. Sorry, sir.
But it's not labeled as park space, so it's labeled as green space. It's
Yeah,
like
and
to
I
be
think that's,
green, not
Andrea,
have to be a park area.
Andrea was,
Yeah, and that's why.
you don't want to tear that, you don't want to tear those trees,
No, and
take
that's
down
why
those
we
trees.
weren't gonna develop those areas, to leave them as green space and leave them as natural. And then the park area would be this green space up at the top along the trail to have people access to the trail.
Phase 4.
Phase 3, correct.
Okay. Good. Any hands up? Yeah. Do you want to just, Dan, do you want to just text? Okay. Question 2? Okay, go right ahead, sir.
Just to that point, Dan, is it possible to get the park started earlier? Like if you're doing, just to address Mr. Henderson's question there, is it possible if it's going to be a phased-in part, going back to that, because you indicated that it would be part of Phase 3, could it be part of Phase 1 so that those that are there in Phase 1 would still be able to have access to it? Could you do that, or does it have to be done at Phase 3, or could it be sped up so that those that are already in there could access the park and still could use it?
Well, the green space would be given to the cities, so they could, it's the city's responsibility to put the park up, so if they want to put the park up whenever they could. Like, we just give the land.
But it's access to the park.
They
So-
can still walk there, I suppose, if you wanted to.
But will you have roadways running up there?
There wouldn't be a
No.
roadway up to
No.
there. But the same as in, like in Hidden Valley, the parkland was given in Phase 1, and there's still no park there. Not usually does the city build the park right away.
So we build that.
We build the park. We provide. Councillor Twill will tell you that.
We deed that land over to the city, and then they can do
Okay.
as they wish with it.
Okay. Good to
Councillor
know.
McKinnon, supplementary question?
Just a second question that come up with that last conversation, and I'm not sure who's responsible. Will there be sidewalks in this subdivision for the residents? And I'm not sure if it's the developer, or does that come back to the city with the streets?
Well, you have professional planner and the developer here.
Well, no, we're not responsible for the sidewalks. So right now, the roadways and new developments are built to 28 feet wide, which would be 3 lanes of traffic, which would allow for active transportation and walking within the road corridor now. And there's no need for a sidewalk in this development. And if you were to put a sidewalk in before the homes were built, most of that sidewalk would get heavily damaged through the construction phases of the homes.
Okay. Good, sir? Good. Thank you, Mr. Whalen. Thank you, Mr. Gundrum. Just get there, get Mr. Councillor Thank you, Robert. Mr. Haggis, have a good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we're going on to 171, 181 Kensington Road, PID numbers 385930, 385948, and 555177. Just give us 1 second to get Mr. Councillor Duran back on the online. We'll take a little recess.
No, I'm back
Oh,
there.
he's back. No, I'm all right. You're back. You didn't hear anything. Okay. Does your little one want a pop? No, we're good. Okay. No, we got some pop in the fridge. Oh, they grow older. Huh. Hey, Councillor Twill, they grow older. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Gundrum.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the next application concerns, oh, I'll just wait. Jason, if you could. Oh. Oh, no, I don't have control with the remote there. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. So following application, it's a request with respect to property addressed as 171, 181 Kensington Road, PID numbers 385930, 385948, and 555177. The following is a request to rezone the identified subject properties from single detached residential R1L zone to the medium density residential R-3T zone, and to also change the official plan land use designation from low density to medium density residential with the intention to allow for development of the site with 9 townhouse units on the property. The next slide shows a zoning map of the subject property and surrounding areas. Properties are located along the west side of Kensington Road at the northwest corner of the intersection with Hemlock Drive, and are located approximately 80 meters or 260 feet northwest of the boundaries of the Belvedere Golf Course, which would be the green open space zoned area shown here. Located within the single detached residential R1L zone, adjacent to and in vicinity of primarily existing single detached development, the subject properties have historically been developed similarly with single detached dwellings on 3 individual lots. The next slide shows the proposed site plan for the development. Kensington Road here, Hemlock Drive shown here, with access onto both Hemlock and Kensington. Again, 9 townhouse dwelling units arranged in 1 block of 5, 1 block of 4, and there'd be a proposed private amenity space for the residents on site shown here. Following site plan shows an access and routing plan for the property. I'll just note that the red is a highlighted area for garbage storage, and yellow is for snow storage during the winter season. Next couple of slides show concept renderings that the developer has proposed to illustrate building scale and massing. The following rendering would be that facing onto Kensington Road, facing to the east, and the next slide is an internal facing view that shows the internal parking that would be hidden from the majority of the public roadways. Just a quick analysis on the subject application, some positives. The rezoning would better enable facilitation of compact urban form and infill development of medium density housing to meet future needs. The property is noted to be in proximity to many complementary and supporting businesses, services, and amenities, such as parks, daycares, places of worship, and public transit. Neutral comment would be that the development would require a building and development permit upon approval, and that should read of official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. And the shortcoming would be that the proposed development would displace 3 existing residential uses, being single detached dwellings in the area. Just a little bit of context to this application, and this is to just dive into some history about how we got here. It is noted that a prior townhouse development concept for this site was previously put forward to planning board and to council in September 2024. There was a public meeting previously held September 18th, 2024 to consider the merits of this prior development concept. The prior concept called for 12 townhouse dwellings on 3 blocks and that would have no outdoor amenity space as currently proposed. The prior concept was denied by council on October 8th, 2024 by a vote of 9-1 and was also not recommended for approval by planning staff as it was found to exceed what would be considered acceptable maximum density for the combined site. As per section 3.10.5 of the zoning and development bylaw, when an application for rezoning has been lawfully denied, the same or similar application shall not be reheard by council within 1 year of its rendering a decision unless A, new material facts or evidence not available at the time of the initial order or decision have come to light, or B, a material change of circumstances has occurred since the initial order or decision. In this case, material change of circumstances has occurred where the applicants have modified their design in response to public feedback. The new concept proposes reduced density from the prior concept as well as inclusion of a new amenity space that was not previously present in the original design. In addition, the applicants have also applied to address any existing policy concerns with respect to the official plan regarding density by proposing to redesignate the combined site as medium density under the official plan, and this was an aspect that was not applied for in the previous application. Planning staff are therefore of the opinion that the new submission, based on its design and approach, is dissimilar enough from the prior submission that it should be heard by council according to the process prescribed by the zoning and development bylaw for proposed rezonings of private property, and that the exemptions provided with respect to section 3.10.5 of the bylaw can be applied in this case. So to flow from that, on March the 11th, 2025, City Council did approve the request to proceed to public consultation. As per section 3.10.4 of the zoning and development bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters of the subject property on March 17th, 2025 to meet the minimum 7-day calendar notification requirement prior to the public meeting date of March 27th, 2025. A total of 44 letters were sent to residents advising them of the public meeting this evening to solicit their comments and feedback, and to date, 1 written response has been received which stated opposition to the application. So following this evening, the tentative next steps would be to provide a recommendation to Planning Board on May 6th, followed by consideration and vote by Council on May 13th, and again, those dates similar to all the other applications provided tonight are tentative pending tonight's proceedings. So that is a summary of the application and a bit of history on it, and I'll turn it back to the chair for further discussion. Thank you.
Artwork Studios, do you guys want to go over something? Is it, who's, if you want to wish to, you can stay there or go to the other side. Good. Do you have a presentation or just information?
No, just whatever. We're just following up on what David had previously presented. Obviously, we're back at the table. We've listened and we've redesigned, and we want you guys to take that into consideration. I am representing the developer here tonight, and between going back and forth with David and myself, we came to a unit count for the site that made sense from a density perspective for the planning department and from the developer's cost of construction. Anything less, moving from 12 to 9 is still feasible. Anything less than 9 for this magnitude of site infrastructure and et cetera, the project would not be viable. So that's why we settled at 9. And we're definitely open to any questions from the public on this. There was a lot of thought put into removing the 3 units on the sketch to the north side, which were the units that were closely abutting, the closest to the residential neighborhood. Removing those and adding a common space for the residents that would occupy this development. We've also done sound analysis. We've done solar analysis on this that's not illustrated, that was in the presentation sent to planning, to confirm no overshadowing of adjacent properties. And the layout of the site itself, having the parking the way it is off of Kensington Road, the buildings themselves, in our intent, would actually act as a bit of a sound buffer for Kensington Road to the neighbors moving to the north. So any other questions and feedback from the public is more than welcome, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, David. Mic is open, and please just give your name. You don't have to specify where you live. You live in Charlottetown, Sherwood, Parkdale. Hi, ma'am.
My name is Barb Hambley, and I live at 183 Kensington Road for over 50 years. And I'm here to express my opposition to this new project.
Barbara, ma'am,
traffic.
can you just pull that mic down a little bit?
Traffic. Kensington Road is really busy.
Thank you.
It connects the bypass to downtown Charlottetown. And besides that, Bulger Drive is exactly opposite my driveway, and I can hardly get out of the driveway now. If they're going to put another driveway on the other side of my house, it's going to be impossible. And now I hear there's a 5-story apartment building proposed for Falconwood, and that's going to make things even worse. The scale of the development. I still think it's too dense for the area. It's mostly single homes and duplexes. And we're all senior citizens pretty well around there. Safety and noise. There's a seniors complex up at the top of Hemlock. There's 2 daycares bordering this block. And people like to walk, and with all this extra traffic, it's not going to be very nice. Noise, there's going to be more noise from the traffic. Aesthetically, it really doesn't suit the neighborhood, and actually, I don't really care for the look of it. I'm concerned about the care of the property too. He didn't take care of the last one next to me, so I hope that's taken care of and watched closely. With 18 garbage cans, and if it's not taken care of, it could be a problem. Consultation with the neighbors. Nobody ever came to talk to me about this, so I find that kind of upsetting to get a note in the mail that there's going to be like 12 units put up next door to you and you didn't know anything about it, so that should be taken looked into. I think that's all. Thank you.
Sir, if you want to, we can take the mic down to him.
Oh, no, that's okay.
You sure? Okay, come on up.
Oh, okay, sure. People are kind to me.
No, I asked him, no, he just pull that mic down a little bit.
Um,
There you are.
Mr. Mayor and councillors.
Just, could you give your name and
Okay, I'm heading that way right now. My name is Wayne Gillespie.
Okay, Wayne.
My wife and I have lived at 6 Hemlock Drive for the past 40-plus years. I think it's 545558.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. You know your bid number.
We have a few concerns, but some of the concerns were answered by a gentleman here. Our big concern is the access road off Hemlock Drive for the whole east side of our property. I can't imagine the traffic going in and out there with 9 townhouses. If it's 9 townhouses with the potential of 2 cars per townhouse, that's 18 cars coming at all hours of the day. That was one of our big concerns. And where is the snow going to be piled? I see there's a place in the showing there, but if it's the snow plow, they're not going to pile it all there. It's going to be all onto our property. What about the devaluation of our property and the increased traffic? And that was a big thing. And the decrease of our privacy. if you get cars coming and going there. The rezoning proposal risks undermining the safety, stability, and quality of life, and could erode the neighborhood's character and set a dangerous precedence for further development. Thank you for your time. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. Thank you very much, sir. You're all right there?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Carrie, did you, you know what, Carrie, we'll just wait for the presentation. All the questions and answers. Is that all right with you? Yeah. All right. Just take note of some of them, Carrie. Thank you, ma'am. Name?
Hi, Debbie Sullivan. I live in 37 Bulger Drive, which is directly across the street from the proposed development. Last time I was here, we were looking at the 12 is too many. Still think 9 is too many to be in our neighborhood. The traffic trying to get a Bulger Drive onto Kensington Road is beyond. Been there for like 38 years, I guess now. So, and the concern before was, is he going to keep owning them? Will he own them or like rent them out, or are they going to be sold? I guess it's still that they're going to rent them out. It's not going to be individually sold at any point. Okay. So, and also a few years back when they dug at the property where the house has now been taken out, they dug up through the winter. I had a major flood through my house just after that. So a little concerned about the water runoff and when they're, I don't know, is there basements in these or are they on a slab? There, okay. Just, you know, it's the water runoff coming down towards my place because they're kind of a little higher level than what mine is. So those are the most thing is the traffic and stuff. And it won't really look right in our neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay, it's still open. Just give us your name and Charlottetown, Sherwood, Parkdale.
Hi, my name is Leslie Hambley and Charlottetown.
Okay.
My mom's house is 183 Kensington Road. So this proposed 9 townhouses is going to be right pretty much on top of her property line, where the end of her house, the main driveway off of Kensington Road is going to be right by the bedrooms. And with the 9 townhouses, there's going to be a minimum of 18 cars. Where's there going to be parking for visitors? And I think the main thing is traffic. Kensington Road is one of the main hubs, the main roads. I grew up there. And now there's also, tonight we learned at the beginning that there's an apartment building being proposed just down the street. That's more cars. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mic's still open. Carrie, while we're waiting, do you want to just address like the rented on slab traffic?
Yeah, Your Worship, for the record, it's Tim Phelan with Arcwork Studio. Kerry Boswell's the developer. He's not here tonight. Yeah, there has been considerable thought put into the comments that were received last time in regards to snow removal. We went back to Kerry on that, he kind of proposed the concerns, came up with a solution. Obviously, the community green space that's there, there's allocation for snow removal plus access into that space. As far as the parking's concerned, the development's been designed to the bylaws for the city, so we meet the parking requirements. And as far as traffic, there will be a slight increase of traffic, not to the extent of the 41 units proposed, essentially 2 blocks up Kensington Road, but it will be slightly increased, obviously, from 3 residential properties for 6 vehicles to 9 for 18, so.
Snow removal?
Yeah, there's a planned allocation space for that on the site.
On the north side, or is that whereabouts?
It'd be on the north side.
Okay. Any other questions? Any councillor?
It's, Your Worship, it's Councilor Ricard here. I'd like to ask some questions if I could.
Go right ahead, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. To the chair and through to the manager, During if you wouldn't mind bringing back up the presentation that you had there, I want to get some more clarity around. I believe on October 8th, when planning staff recommended to NOS approve this application, one of the main factors of that was the maximum density, given the policies in the official plan. And at that time, that was proposed of 12 units. So do I understand you correctly? You're saying by going down to 9 units, it is now kind of put it into a more medium density housing kind of bracket? Am I understanding that correctly?
Through the chair, Councillor Matart, that's partially correct. It would be classified as medium density. I guess the original proposal, we looked not just at the policies of the official plan that spoke to, that we don't have density ranges or minimums or maximums that are numerical minimums or maximums in the OP that we currently have. But it does speak to density matching surrounding density. So what we did a general calculation of what we found in the general area, and also for the block itself that the subject property is located on. And when we did that, we found that the site density was quite out of whack with the background density of the surrounding area. And also coupling with that was that in the original proposal, the applicants did not apply to address or amend the policies of the official plan, which they are now on a site-specific basis. So not only are they seeking a rezoning, they're also seeking a redesignation in the OP to redesignate it as medium density. And coupling with that, they also are lowering the density on the site by 25% from previous to bring it more in line with what's in the surrounding area. We haven't landed on a recommendation at this point, but that'll be forthcoming, and we'll be revisiting the calculations that we previously did for the new concept. And in addition to that, the applicants are trying to address the policy inconsistency by amending on a site-specific basis the land use designation under the OP. So there's a couple of moving parts here that make this different and the approach different from previous. Does that answer your question, Councillor Matart?
It does to some degree. Does density then mean, I think the last time one of the phrases or terms that were used was the amount of units per acre, I think was
Per hectare.
Per hectare. And it was deemed that 12 was, too many for that area. And I know you can't make your decision here tonight based on whether or not this is in or out of that equation, or maybe you can. Because, I guess when I go back to think about your statement prior to this about, coming back and reapplying and meeting certain thresholds, the only threshold that I see here generally is they reduce from 12 to 9, 12 units to 9, but I don't know if they reduce scalability. Like, I don't know if these units are smaller in scale compared to the previous renderings, like height-wise, width, length, etc. Really, from what we can see here, is just more of nothing in the north corner there where that suggested green space is, where I believe there was a building that was slated for there, maybe a 3 unit in that corner area. So yeah, I'm just trying to gauge like what got us back here, from the sense of not having to go back out to wait a year. You said in the previous slides here that they met a certain threshold around, I think density was the reason that this was able to come back in such a short order. Is that correct?
Through the chair, Councillor Matart, so just to confirm that consideration for whether we should reconsider this and bring this back again, that test has already been cleared by both planning board and council by virtue of allowing us to hold a public meeting this evening. So we've already had that conversation, and that's been clear. Yeah. Council and planning board did clear that already. I just reiterated it in our presentation.
Yeah. I'm just trying to understand that that's the reason why I came here.
As background, but that aspect has already been evaluated and cleared by the board and by council. I guess, again, to reiterate, it was judged by staff, by planning board, and by council already that there was fundamental enough differences in the new concept that we were able to waive the one-year requirement and bring this back again to see what the public feedback would in fact be. I'm not ready at this point, nor have I prepared to offer a recommendation. We're not at this point.
No, I understand that, yeah. No, I'm not asking to put that in. I'm not asking that. Okay, thank you. If I can ask another question, and maybe to the developer or sorry, I forgot the gentleman's name who's there representing the property.
Correct?
Tim, is it?
Tim from Archwork
Yes.
Studios. Go ahead.
Thanks. Tim, some of the concerns that were brought forward in the first time from the residents obviously was the entry, being in the backside of these townhouses or these buildings. There's obviously a strong desire to have that on the backside, coming an entrance in off of Hemlock and then wrapping around and coming in off of Kensington Road. My question is, why is this not considered like most buildings where these buildings would be set back and the front is where the driveways would be coming in and off Kensington Road to align with all of the other homes and residents that are in that area on Kensington Road? Why is this concept pushing stronger for all the parking to be in the back?
We just felt, to be honest, Councillor Matart, that it was a better use of it's a better use of access onto Kensington Road. There's no doubt there's traffic issues. We've looked at that. To provide 9 more driveways, trying to get in and out of these properties, we just felt wouldn't be adequate for the value of the property. So by essentially mirroring the driveways off Kensington, putting them on the backside, no difference than if this was an apartment complex, which it's not. It would be adjacent to the road with the parking in back. Providing kind of in and out traffic makes sense for this development. Working with fire, they've looked at this extensively. They're in agreement that it's great. It gets the fire trucks off of Kensington Road in the event that there is an issue down the road. So from talking to Winston, he was very favorable of this concept for that very reason. If there was an issue in one of these 2 buildings, you're not essentially blocking Kensington Road. You're bringing the service vehicles in off of Hemlock straight in, and then they can right back out. So that was part of the decision.
Okay. I do have a resident here who's already spoke. So is it the wish of council? And it's a public hearing, and I know the deputy as the chair.
I'm in favor of the residents speaking again, for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm just speaking to the members here in council too, in the chamber. Okay. No, you have to come up to the mic and give your name again.
One of the main issues.
Your name, ma'am, just so for the public record.
Leslie Hambley, Charlottetown.
Thank you.
I'd like to have them point out where they plan on putting all of the snow.
David, you have the.
That's a lot of roadways and a lot of snow to be cleared if we do get blizzards, as we have gotten. If it's that little white beige square.
Yeah, it's essentially intended to be stockpiled there.
David, can you just point it out there with the.
Anything of this nature, the intent wouldn't be that it would be there for an extended period of time. Snow is going to be trucked away from the property. It'd be no difference, as I said, like if this was an apartment complex and that was a parking lot, the snow would not be stockpiled there for 3 months of the winter. It would be removed as needed. This is just based on the comments received before where there was concern on if there was short-term stockpiling requirements, this is where we deemed the most suitable area.
My only fear would be is that it would actually end up going into the green space, and then when it melts, it would probably flood my mother's property that is directly to the right. That's the point I wanted to make.
Thank you.
And is there a reason why the driveway entrance off of Kensington Road is to the right and not going between the buildings?
Between the 2 buildings?
Yes, because there's a space there, so we're just wondering about.
She's saying between the 2 buildings, David.
Yes.
There's not enough roadway, I don't think.
Yeah, the intent of that was to provide more circulation traffic as shown, as opposed to keeping the entrance concentric within the two buildings. Then it creates a dead end down at one end, and fire wasn't really on the hook for that.
Okay.
This kind of allows for EMS vehicles to come in off Kensington easily and loop around, but it also allows Winston and his department to bring the larger trucks in off
Fire
Hemlock,
department.
and they can basically come straight in and get access to the buildings directly.
Mr. McKinnon, Councillor McKinnon, question there?
Thank you, Your Worship. The last resident actually asked my question. I was wondering if that eastern building could be moved over for privacy for the Hambley property, but you answered that question. And Councillor Matart kind of got me questioning here. Is the size of the buildings the same size as the initial, and the units are bigger, or are these
They're
buildings
the
smaller?
identical units that were proposed before. It was just, previously there was 3 buildings of 12 units. There's now 2 buildings of 9 units.
Okay. Is that going to be a green space in between the two buildings that we're
is.
talking about? It'll be like a parkland or
Yeah.
common?
So everything there was another sketch too that can be sent through council. There was an identification of percentage of green space, so on this, everything that's essentially gray surrounding the buildings to the north of the buildings is primarily green space with the exception of the driveways into the units.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Tim, thank you. Mr. Gundrum, again, thank you very much. Got to give Mr. Gundrum a bonus, all this work tonight. Mr. Gundrum, unaddressed parcels, lot 24, 25, and 26, Evelyn Street, PID numbers 1178, 19-3, 1178-201, and 1178-21-9. And Jessica Murray, is she here? No. Okay, David, go ahead. Thank you.
Nope. No, I can't control it there yet, Jay. Yeah. Oh, there we go, okay. Okay, so this following application concerns lots 24, 25, and 26 on Evelyn Street, unaddressed parcels identified as PID numbers 1178193, 1178201, and 1178219. The following request is a request to rezone the identified subject properties from low-density residential single R-2S to the medium-density residential R-3 zone, and also to change the official plan land use designation from low-density to medium-density residential to allow for the development of 4 stacked townhouses on each of the 3 separate lots as shown. The following slide illustrates a zoning map of the subject property and surrounding area. The properties are located along the north side of Evelyn Street and are all interior residential lots. They are located again within the low-density residential single R-2S zone within an approved greenfield subdivision site currently under active development. Subject properties are currently vacant, containing no buildings or structures. The following series of slides illustrate site plans that have been provided to us by the developers. The first slide illustrates the proposed building footprint and driveway location for lot 24, which is the westernmost lot. Next slide is for lot 25, that's the middle lot, and next slide is for the east lot, lot 26. The next slide illustrates a concept building rendering to illustrate building massing and elevation for the proposed stacked townhouse units. So this would be the built form that would be replicated across each of the 3 lots. Just some additional context. The subject properties, again, are vacant lots that form part of what is a greenfield or new subdivision development that is currently still under construction and expansion at the present time on the basis of prior approvals. All properties within the existing plan of subdivision within this area are currently zoned R2S, which allows for residential dwellings in the form of single detached, semi-detached, and duplex dwellings, but does not contain any provision or allowance for stacked townhouse dwellings as proposed. The subject properties are located in relatively close proximity to Norwood Road to the west, which contains primarily single detached dwellings that have been established for some time. Subject properties are located approximately 700 meters to the north of the arterial highway bypass via connection from Norwood Road, which runs north to south. Parking spaces for each of the stacked townhouse units are proposed to be located to the front of the respective units facing the street frontage. Proposed structures, based on the site plans that have been provided to the city, would meet all setback, minimum lot area, and minimum lot frontage requirements of the R3 zone based on the concept plans that have been provided. As per section 3.10.3 of the zoning and development bylaw, before rezoning any parcel of land, council shall conduct a public meeting to receive the views and opinions of the public and the applicant. Council may, for reasons that are in the best interest of the city, reject a proposed rezoning without public notice and without referral to public meeting. However, if an application does go to a public meeting, then council shall determine disposition of the application, and the applicant may not be allowed to withdraw the application following the public meeting. Planning staff are of the opinion that the project has merit with sufficient information that has been provided to date by the applicant to allow for consideration of the proposed rezoning and official plan amendment via the public meeting process with council. In terms of legislative requirements, on March 11th, 2025, City Council approved the request to proceed to public consultation. As per section 3.10.4 of the Zoning and Development Bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all owners within 100 meters of the subject property on March 17th, 2025, being a minimum of 7 calendar days prior to the public hearing date of March 27th, 2025 today. In total, 9 letters were sent to residents to advise them of the public meeting this evening to solicit comments and feedback, and to date there have been no written responses received by the Planning Department. So again, following this evening and tentatively following this evening, there'd be a recommendation put forth to Planning Board on May 6th, followed by consideration by Council on May 13th. And again, those dates are tentative pending tonight's proceedings. That's a summary of the application, and I'll turn it back over to the chair to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gundrum. Any questions from those remaining? We're still here. We're here till 10 o'clock. We have to. Then we have to go for extra time. Did you say, Councillor Ramsey, go for extra time?
I just say move on, Your Worship. Enough time tonight.
Okay. I see Councillor Norman Beck from Ward 3. Go ahead, sir.
Also known as Terry Bernard.
Oh, no. He's from Ward 10.
He's from Ward 10.
Great Ward of 10. Go ahead, sir.
Dave, this
Make
is
sure that's clear.
strange. Only in your seat, buddy, only in your seat. Seems like a weird request to me. We've got a development that's under construction, and we make a change. It was all the areas were zoned as R2 under the original approval, which I guess was done, predates my time here on council when it got approved, but is this a common sort of thing to see this happen, Dave, or is it from a planning perspective, I guess, is it something that is as odd as it seems to me, or is it something that is that does occur during developments as they unfold? I guess that's kind of my first question.
Through the chair, Councillor Beck, I'll be honest, it is a little bit odd to go back and rezone properties that are undeveloped in a recent plan of subdivision. Typically, when you create the plan of subdivision, you lay out all the zoning, and that's what's intended to happen because the zoning sets the table for what's intended to develop. I think what happened here, and I don't have the full history on the entire development because it also predates my time as well, but from what I know, I think these lots are some of the largest lots in the entire plan. They're some of the biggest available, and I think at the time, it could have been that the subdivision was created as entirely R2S, and that was in response to the market conditions of the day. And those market conditions have certainly changed over time and evolved. And I think the developers left these lots as being larger in the event that they could pivot and perhaps pursue a rezoning. Because what they're trying to do here, they wouldn't be able to pull off on pretty much most of the lots in the remainder of the subdivision that are undeveloped. So this afforded them an opportunity. Whether they should have been rezoned, or sorry, whether they should have been zoned R3 to begin with, you know, begs the question, why weren't they? But I think maybe at the time, there was no market appetite that the developers were responding to for higher density uses like stacked towns. It just wasn't on the radar, perhaps. That would be my guess. So I think that's in part why this is before us tonight. Partially the opportunity that these are larger lots that you can pull this, physically actually pull this off. And two, it's a response, I believe, to a shift in market demand is what my understanding is here, so.
Just follow up.
Oh, no, go ahead there, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, we got-
So a lot of the references that you were making in the official plan before, 13.1, 13.2, 13.3, I think were the sections, I can't remember, but a lot of those, you know, those were kind of targeting the idea of scaled mixed densities and that sort of thing. This sort of project would fit in with a lot of what you were referencing in the other sections as well, too?
Through the chair, that's absolutely correct. It would introduce a slightly higher form of density, not too far off, but, you know, just one step above what's currently permitted under the existing zoning, but it would find some support in the official plan. Again, I'm not offering a recommendation tonight, but there is certainly some things in the OP that you can grab onto that tie back to this in this context, for sure, yeah.
Okay.
Another
Thank you.
question?
No, I'm done.
You sure?
All good, buddy.
Oh, you want any? Councillor McCabe, any questions?
No, that was actually my question. Councillor Beck was able to deal with that.
Yeah.
So hopefully they, look at the big plan. Thank you.
David, I don't know if you were here, but I think, did we not look at a rezoning from R2 or 2S to a larger complex? Or maybe it was a larger complex that was to be used for professional students? And then the developer came in and asked for a rezoning. Do you remember that, Deputy, out there in that area? That, I think it was Mr. Lewis. So it's the plan's there, but it keeps changing. Anyways, that's up to the professional planners to come back with a recommendation. Any other questions? Councilor Bernard? Councilor Tart? No?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
No, none.
Okay, Councilor Bernard?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Well, it's a good night. Go to the next one, Madam Chair? Okay. It's number 7 of 7, 167 Mount Everett Road. PID numbers 390260, 390237, and 566976. Mr. Gundrum is presenting, but I know the developer is here. Carmen? I'm not the developer. You're just here as a... Just watching the proceedings. Okay. Your name's on the list, so I go right back to Mr. Gundrum.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, sir.
Just wait for the slides to activate here. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. So as mentioned, this is a application regarding 161, 167 Mount Edward Road. I won't read out the PIDs, they've been noted already. It's a request to rezone portions of the identified subject properties from low-density residential single R2S to the comprehensive development area CDA zone. And this is being requested to allow for the development of 150 apartment units on the site. Subject property, again, is identified here on the zoning map, and it does have split zoning on the site. The properties are located along the west side of Mount Edward Road, just south of intersection with Pine Drive, as shown here. And the street fronting portion of the properties are within the R2S zone, adjacent to and in vicinity of primarily single detached development as well as institutional development located to the south. Two of the subject properties currently contain single detached dwellings and are otherwise undeveloped. The next slide shows a proposed concept site plan of what is intended to be developed should the rezoning request be successful. Again, the 150 units as proposed would be split between two apartment blocks as illustrated on the site plan here. Mount Edward Road is shown to the east here, and there would be two proposed points of access from Mount Edward Road. And I'll just note that the current site is split among three properties, and a lot consolidation would have to also subsequently occur to allow the development to proceed should the rezoning be successful. As per section 3.10.3 of the zoning and development bylaw, before rezoning any parcel of land, council shall conduct a public meeting to receive the views and opinions of the public and the applicant. Council may, for reasons in the best interests of the city, reject a proposed amendment to the bylaw without public notice and without referral to public meeting. However, if an application goes to a public meeting, then council shall determine the disposition of the application. The parcel identified as PID 566976, as well as the street fronting portions of the other two PIDs, are within the low-density residential single R2S zone of the zoning and development bylaw, while the remaining balance of PID 390-260 and 390-237 are within the comprehensive development area CDA zone. The existing split zoning of the site is inhibiting the potential for higher density development across the combined properties. Given the amount of vacant land which is available on the combined site, the properties can be said to be underdeveloped at the present time, especially in the context that they have unrestricted direct access to full municipal services, being sewer, water, and public roads. The proposed rezoning of that portion of the subject properties that is currently within the R2S zone would effectively harmonize the combined site to be within the CDA zone, and therefore allow for full utilization of the CDA zoning that already applies to the majority of the site, but is stymied in its potential by the presence of the R2S zoning along the main road frontage onto Mount Edward Road. The proposed harmonization of zoning would result in a situation more in keeping with the intent and purpose of the overall CDA zone, as well as the zoning and development bylaw more widely to ensure consistent development rights property to property across the sites. On March 11th, 2025, City Council approved request to proceed to public consultation. As per section 3.10.4 of the zoning and development bylaw, a mailed notification letter was sent to all residents to all owners within 100 meters of the subject property on March 17th, 2025, being a minimum of 7 calendar days prior to the public hearing date of March 27th, 2025. 33 letters were sent to residents advising them of the public meeting tonight to solicit comments and feedback, and to date, planning has received one written response stating opposition to the application. So next steps would be tentatively to provide a recommendation to Planning Board May 6th, followed by consideration and vote by Council on May 13th concerning the rezoning, and again, tentative pending tonight's proceedings. So that is a summary of the application, and I'll turn it back over to the Chair to continue. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone to speak to it? Just give us your name, where you live.
Hi, Diane McDonald. We live in Mount Edward Road.
Diane. Diane, can you just pull the mic down because there's some others listening?
Okay, our PID is...
Diane McDonald. Diane McDonald, is it?
Yep.
Yep.
684472.
Thank you.
Is our PID. So some of the issues that we have. So right now, up in Pine Drive, like 6 houses away, we already have a 60 unit going up. It's going to create about 120 plus vehicles, extra people, extra traffic. Mount Edward Road is crazy now. So further down by the bypass, there is more units. So of course, more traffic, more people, more cars. An average commute to my work in the morning in town here is 7 minutes. When I come home after 4 o'clock, it's 40 minutes.
Diane, just 1 second. What's the issue?
It might either be dead or not close enough.
Yeah, you know what, ma'am? Could you just sit down here? Yeah, and just hit the red button, and could you please start over so we get everything on the public record? Name?
That better?
Yep, that's great.
Oh, good.
Just give it your name and just please start over. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Diane McDonald, Mount Edward Road. The PID is 684472. So Mount Edward Road, we have Pine Drive having 60 units, which means an extra 120 people, if not more, plus cars in our traffic area. Further down the bypass, we have a number of units, which is considerable amount of cars and vehicles, or cars and people. An average commute to my work in the morning here is 7 minutes. When I leave after 4 and go home, it's 40 minutes with the extra traffic, without all these units. Usually we have to take alternate routes. I live in the end of Pine Drive. Good luck getting in there. Like, good luck. We'll not even mention that's a main ambulance route. You want to see them try and get through at Christmas or any kind of holidays, because nobody pulls over. Like, they're like ambulance, red lights. What's that? We don't care. So I can see more people suffering, and we have a lot of ambulances up the street for elderly people that are sick all the time. They go by our house all the time. So you get your 150 units, which is 150 to 300 right beside us. And then the 60 up. Well, the traffic is just, it's insane. There's no traffic lights, there's no stop signs. We can't get in or out of our house. It's crazy. We have a do not pass in the inside sign in front of our house. Means nothing, nothing. We've seen people almost get hit by cars. We've seen people almost, we've had accidents in our area. I've lost a knee because of our road. So we don't want to lose lives. Police are normally on site down at 161, right around 161, Mount Edward Road, Monday to Friday, every day. Stopping speeders, stopping whatever, mostly speeders. They're a daily site. You know of any other street or road in PEI that has police presence Monday to Friday, every day? Like, now they just come to the point where they go to the side of the road and they put their sirens on and they sit. So everybody will see and slow down. So we have problems. The outline of this site shows an entrance or an exit. Right beside, we have a hidden driveway or a right-of-way to the back of our yard. Right where they're going to put a road to get into this here complex. So there's going to be issues because we already know people are going to be turning in of our driveway because they're going to they don't know. They're going to have 2 driveways. They're going to be going into our driveway. They're going to be trying to get out of our driveway. Right now, people come into our driveway because they go in the end of Pine, and they're like, oh, we'll go straight, and then realize, oh, it's the driveway. So, like, we have people sitting there for 15 minutes to get out. So the extra traffic is not going to do any good. And the driveway that's over in the side is just an absolute disaster waiting to happen. We won't mention Christmas, Easter, and any other holiday for Mount Edward Road. Everybody here knows what Mount Edward Road is like, waiting to get to the back of the mall. So we're waiting for our driveway to get out. No word a lie, it'd be 20 minutes to get out of our driveway because nobody will let us out. They just are parked in front of our road. Imagine having a driveway at the side of your house because people are waiting to try and get in this driveway that they're creating. Either at 161 or 167, it's going to cause a disaster. So it's going to be a huge impact on the area. As far as housing is concerned, we need lots of housing. I have no issue with that. What I have an issue with is the danger these houses and apartments are causing in our area. We have a school up the street, we have kids coming down. We almost had one girl, she almost got run over by a car. Crosswalk, somebody is coming, somebody passed in front of them and almost hit her. That girl was our daughter. So, like, come on. And what do we have here? Yeah, I just think, and then the green space is gonna be gone. So you go in the front of our house, it's like the city in the front, and in the back it's country. It's like so quiet and peaceful. It's all trees all around us. Trees are gonna be gone, except for the few we have in our yard, and they're gonna be replaced by apartments. It's gonna be good luck trying to sell our house, because the people on the other side have already sold their 2 lots, and I think this is going to end up happening. They're also going to have more places there. We're going to have 2 houses stuck in the middle. So, guess my time is up, but yeah, I just
No, that's all right. No, you go right ahead.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Yeah,
You got
so
lots of
there's no hope, because I really do think that whoever is developing this has the other 2 lots on the other side of us in mind, because they've just torn down the second house. There's only 2 houses left in the middle, which is ours, and Spencer's next door, which would be PID 390278. The other 2 on the other side are gone, so they're gonna build there. We're gonna have 2 houses. Do you think any way in hell's creation anybody's ever gonna buy our houses? Never. So don't tell me the property value. We've had our house for almost 30 years, and pretty soon if this happens, it's gonna mean nothing. So I just think it's in the wrong spot. So,
Diane, just to clarify, you 167, 160?
we're 169.
Okay.
So they're want to develop 161 to 167.
Right.
We're right beside it in the end of Pine. And then the next one to us is Spencer, which is 390278. Then the next 2 lots have just torn down the houses. So I think they're going to try and develop all the way around us.
So to the north of you, is that house still there? I can't remember.
Okay, so the only 2 houses that are left now are 684472, which is ours.
169?
That's 169, and then 390278
That's
is our neighbors. Those are the only 2 houses that are left.
171?
That's, yeah, would be 171 property.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those other 2 houses are gone, so, and they connect the back right into those 2 properties.
Okay.
So you really can't tell me that they're not gonna try and develop those other 2 lots too, which leads, we might as well burn our house, we'll get more out of insurance.
Any questions from the? Okay, I have.
Yeah. I
Oh,
have
okay,
my hand up.
Just sit, Diane, just stay there. Okay, go ahead, Diane. No, Andrea, is that Andrea Battison?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead.
Great. So Andrea Battison, Charlottetown. My main comment to this is just to address the expanse of asphalt in the center of the proposed site. I don't know if you bring one of those up. It's 2 buildings with a center of asphalt. And this, we keep seeing a lot of these type of developments, and I get told it's because of the minimum parking requirements, and surface parking is cheaper. But if you recall, I believe the city not that long ago approved a project across from UPEI, I think by the Gray Group, where they were given an exemption to the parking minimum, and some of it went underground, and they created an amazing green space between the buildings that provided something for the residents to enjoy, and decreased the amount of asphalt, which is just bad for water runoff, environmental purposes. And the rationale, especially in this case, is if you're on a road that I'm assuming if it doesn't have already public transit, it certainly could have, given the density of properties that are going in this area. This, obviously the meeting tonight isn't about the specific site concept plan, but given that the zoning development bylaw is looking at decreasing minimum parking requirements, and that the city has set a precedent, I believe, with the development across from UPEI, that decreasing surface parking should become a norm when these larger developments, if necessary, and decreasing the minimum parking. This is just terrible to see so much an asphalt desert in between two buildings when it's possible to do better. So my comments are just more to the amount of asphalt, and if someone could answer whether or not the development across from UPEI did actually get an exemption from the minimum parking requirement and how that was achieved, might be possible for these other types of developments.
Mr. Gundrum,
That's it.
can you answer that, Mr. Gundrum, about the Grey Group is the property that was the old Maritime Christian Church residence. Any exemptions to that, or?
Through your worship, to address Andrea's question, there were no exemptions provided to the parking ratio requirements that I can recall. We're actually prohibited from varying the minimum parking requirements in the zoning and development bylaw, save and except that you can apply for cash in lieu if you're in the 500 lot area. That's the only way that we can get around the parking minimums. The Grey Group, that site hasn't gone to permit yet, but it is approved. They have the development rights in place to develop at any time.
But no permits.
But no permits have been submitted to the city as yet. However, if memory serves me correct, there was no way that they could bypass or reduce the minimum parking ratio of 1-to-1. They were providing underground parking, a significant amount of underground parking, but if memory serves me correct, they did have to abide by the 1-to-1 ratio, 1 space per 1 unit in that case. Because our bylaw wouldn't otherwise allow otherwise in that location, so.
Okay.
All right, because it seemed that they mentioned getting a decrease, and there was talk about putting it in the development agreement, so.
No, I think that the space, I think it's about 4 acres. I know they do have an easement onto Upper Queen Street that they're going from the back of.
Yeah, that's correct. They had a back access capability, yeah. But as far as parking is concerned, again, if memory serves me correct, they weren't in a position where they could leverage any kind of relief from the minimum parking requirements because of where they were.
So what about reducing the surface parking in this development?
I mean, that it's possible. The problem is we don't have anything in the zoning bylaw currently to compel them to do it one way or the other. We don't have any control really to hold them to a particular. And this has to be all underground or a specific proportion underground. We just, if they come in with this concept and council approves the zoning, they can build it generally as shown if they want to, if they otherwise meet all the regulations in the bylaw. We currently don't, again, our current bylaw is a bit dated. It doesn't give that kind of level of regulation currently, so.
That's why we're doing the comprehensive review. Okay.
Can variances?
No, Andrea,
Okay.
we just have some other questions first with councilors.
Okay.
Okay. Councilor McKinnon.
Thank you, Your Worship. Andrew kind of raised the point of, when I'm looking at this design, there's more asphalt than there is buildings and green space. The green space that's on this map looks like it's more of a lawn. There's no, I don't know where you'd put a playground or anything. It's just a lawn that's going around a building. And on Mount Edward Road, there's no sidewalk on this section, and there's only a 20-foot section setback from the building to the side of the road. So is there any plans for this high density, medium density to have a sidewalk or active transportation plan? That's all.
Mr. Gundrum.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Through your
We've
worship.
been trying for years. They won't put one up.
What's that?
We've been trying to get a sidewalk on that side for years.
There is a sidewalk on the east side,
On
right?
the other side,
Yeah.
not on
Okay,
ours.
that's right. Okay. Mr. Gundrum?
Yeah.
Through your worship, Councillor McKinnon, there'd be no means where we can compel the developers here to have a sidewalk installed along the frontage. I mean, that's meandering into the world of capital project planning for public works, and it's a larger scope than just this one development. Again, unfortunately, from the planning side, we can't say, well, you must provide some monies or allocation to the city to fund a
That would be development charges, correct?
sidewalk. It would be something akin to a development charge, which we currently don't have, so, yeah.
Councillor Beck from Ward 3.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. There's a few other projects that have not been mentioned here tonight. And we have St. Martha's, which is coming to, just keeps adding on all the time. We have two, I think it's 168 units that are potentially going to be added there on that last phase.
In St. Martha's?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more development to come,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so you got 150 there.
And there's Flores Development.
You've got that Spencer Drive extension. I can't remember who we approved there.
Flores to the north.
No, isn't Flores to the south?
Nope, Flores. And then north of that, that butts up to St. Martha's is Ryan Pino's.
Pino, right.
Yeah, so there's two.
Okay. And that's going to be around like, isn't that near like 1,000 units? Those two combined? So we're looking at potentially the 150 here plus the 1,200 between St. Martha's, the last phase of St. Martha's, Flourish Developments, and the Ryan Pino development. Are we not looking at something like 1,200 units? Which begs, kind of goes back to the whole traffic study, the active transportation piece on that road. I mean, it's a two-lane street, or two-lane road. And if those come to fruition, and we add in all those other developments which are there, we're looking at quite significant problems. And I don't know how to, we've talked earlier here tonight about doing it from the bypass down to Belvedere Avenue. Is that enough? Is the busing system going to be able to absorb traffic reductions? When Diane is saying here that, there's a difference of 30 or 35 minutes between her morning and her afternoon commute, that's only going to get exacerbated over the course of time. So I guess my worry here is that with all the developments that we have approved, I think we're getting close to a point of saturation or a point of ability. Are we going to be able to handle all the people that are potentially going to live there? And I don't know what options are available, but we're going to have to take some serious looks at that.
So just to clarify, what's with Flores, what's proposed with Ryan Pino, St. Margaret's Court? St. Martha's Court was to be on this agenda. They pulled it, right, David? So it was supposed to.
Right.
And, right. So we don't know what's going on there. Flores and Pino, they have projection, but nothing has been approved, right, David? Just for the record?
Through your worship, that's correct. And that application for St. Martha's Court that was pulled, it was pulled because we're waiting a pending traffic impact study from the developer that is with respect to that and that wider area up in that portion with respect to Mount Edward Road. Again, just to try and answer Councillor Beck's question, I think that unit count is fairly accurate that you quoted, like the sum total aggregate of all those developments would be in and around that 1,200 unit.
If they go ahead.
If they go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, that's if, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to speak there, Mr. Henderson? Okay.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, just give us your name again there, bud, so we.
Yes, thank you.
Dave Henderson.
Still working. Dave Henderson, Charlottetown. Just a quick question again. As was discussed earlier with the property on the corner of Towers Road and Mount Edward Road, which Councillor Beck did not bring up in this discussion today, should it proceed. Again, the placement of these buildings on this property line, concerning for me with the future potential need to widen Mount Edward Road. I don't see the footprint of the building here allowing sufficient space to create additional lanes to appease traffic, certainly not for a bus route if it needs its own lane in the future, if that's where we're getting to. I think we need to start looking at the planning of our roads and our infrastructure with a purpose for the future to support the growth that we're talking about, and I don't see that. Thank you.
Councillor Twill.
Just to pick up what David said, Councillor Beck, I can tell you, Diane, that I have been pushing hard to have sidewalk or an active transportation pathway on the west side of Mount Edward Road. Every time I was bringing it up, I was getting opposition. You know, I was getting opposition. We have a young parent living on that side of the street that's very concerned about her child trying to cross Mount Edward Road, which is virtually impossible to go to Sherwood Elementary School. I've been there. Police Officer Tim Kaiser's been there. I pushed it as a member of the Public Works Committee. I've been consistent from day one, and now with all of this development, we're talking major units, and Mount Edward Road has to become a priority in terms of the active transportation pathway from the bypass. If we got to make that investment from the bypass at least down to Belvedere Avenue, and then take it from there, because it's dangerous. I don't know how we can expect all these units to be built on the west side of Mount Edward Road and not have the necessary infrastructure. I mean, that's to my mind, it's reckless planning. It's reckless, dangerous planning. And like I said, I want you to know, Diane, I have been bringing this up, but on the record, if Scott Adams, our former Public Works manager, was here, he used to say to me, he used to say, I know what you're saying. He said, I've heard your message. We're going to do a plan. I think we need to expedite that, Mr. Mayor, and I think we need to do that right away.
I think what David Henderson mentioned.
No, I know what David Henderson's saying, but what I'm trying to say is, we've got to have the infrastructure in place, whether it's widening the street, but we have to have pedestrian, safe pathway for the people that are walking up and down that street, because right now, you can't even get a crosswalk across Mount Edward Road because we don't have a crosswalk or a pathway on the west side. That's what was told to me a number of times by our personnel in Public Works. So, want to make sure that that is going to be a top priority for the city of Charlottetown. And secondly, in that development, I don't see any, I don't know, I mean, like the required green space. Is there anything there, David, as far as green space? But I mean, I'm talking green space for the people that are going to live there.
Yeah, no, David Gundrum is the planner. Thank you.
Through the chair, Councillor Twill, there are some minimum requirements on a lot-by-lot basis or maximum for lot coverage, but we don't, in terms of like any kind of parkland dedication, that wouldn't come to play here because it's not a plan of subdivision, right? But I know what you're saying is that to maximize what's available on site for the residents.
Yeah.
There are like lot coverage requirements that they can't go over. That's for buildings and structures. We don't really truly have like a minimum percentage of green space on an individual lot that's required to be provided, like permeable space rather.
But if young families are going to move in, there's a school nearby,
It's a shortcoming in our current bylaw.
That's got to be addressed. Maybe we can work with the developer. But I want to talk about Diane and where they live. I think the city has to have some type of plan. And I don't know, we can improvise, but I mean, right now, they're surrounded. Her and her husband are surrounded. They're basically now in the middle of no man's land, and there's got to be some kind of an incentive or some kind of improvisation, some kind of a package where we can help assist. How long have you been there, Diane?
Almost 30 years.
Okay, 30 years, paying taxes in this community. And we just can't leave them stranded where their property, as she said, property values is going to go down. We need to come up with some kind of a plan to be able to help assist Diane and her husband. Because, if you're looking at a development like that, the two other properties, as you indicated, were
Councillor
purchased.
Twill, Councillor Twill, that's, look, this is a development, that's other,
Yeah, but I know, Mr.
I know,
Mayor,
but-
but no, hold it now,
but
hold it.
no, we have to get back to what.
Well, I am
we're here-
getting back. You let
Yeah.
a speaker speak here earlier about a project way over in University Avenue that had no relevancy
No,
to
no.
this application.
Well, no, they brought it up because that was a question related to this issue here. Look, we understand what you've said.
Well,
We
I don't know if
understand
you
what
do.
Diane has stated. Let's stay
Diane, I
back.
just want you to know, I hear what you're saying.
fully
And
understand
we need to
that.
do something.
Yeah. And again, David and his team down at the planning department, they've been dealing with a lot of applications. So I appreciate all the work that you've done here tonight, David. 7 big files, and the information that you provided here for not only members of council, but for the general public is very much commendable. I appreciate the work. Want to get up and speak? Why don't you just use the mic there? And just press the button there, sir.
What I haven't heard here tonight is how many of these units are low rental? Okay, I made a delivery today. I work for Day and Ross Transport, and I made a delivery today to a development there by the Queen's Arms Esso. And I asked the guy, I said, how much for the rentals? 1 bedroom is $1,700. Okay? So that means that both people have to work in the family. A single income earner, that's in the past. So that would mean probably 2 cars per household. So you're talking an extra 300 cars on 150 units, okay? And we're putting the cart before the horse. The infrastructure should have been done before any of this stuff is approved, okay? Because our population is growing so fast, we can't keep up. Our hospitals are overcrowded. It's the same old, right? So I oppose this development just for the fact that it takes me 20 minutes to get out of my driveway. Heaven forbid that you got to back out. We have to back in our driveway in order to get out of our driveway safely. Because we're looking at Pine Drive here, we're looking at steady traffic this way, steady traffic that way. My wife, when she goes to work, she goes at 6:30 in the morning, okay, to avoid the traffic. But when, like she says, when she's coming home, it takes her 40 minutes to get home. And, you know, it's ridiculous. When does it end? Heaven forbid that all these new immigrants, if our economy has a bad downturn, and these fellas don't have work, they're gone. Okay, then we have a run on the banks. Because who do you think's financing all this stuff? Right? So we got to take a step back and improve our infrastructure. We got to spend money. Spend some of that there, you know, that tax money that it's kind of a windfall for the city, and they should be reinvesting all the time. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for staying here for 9:40. I need a resolution to adjourn. Moved by the deputy, seconded by Councillor McKinnon. All in favor?
In favor?
In favor?
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you.